Well, cosmetic surgery doesn't only involve someone's physical appearance, but clearly their mental well-being too. Here to speak about the psychological side is Jade Thomas, a psychologist in doctoral training at Private Therapy Clinic. Jade, we've just been talking about the fact that we've now got legislation coming in to stop under 18s getting Botox without a prescription, those who might need something for a very medical reason. And the Department of Health estimate that this is going to stop 41,000 injections. More and more when we look on things like Instagram with influencers, young stars in reality television are all having multiple procedures done. Does this speak to something we should be deeply worried about as a society?
I mean, I think so, because the thing with society today is the importance of physical appearance is so heightened. Like you said, with influencers, reality shows such as Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Love Island, it's so heightened. It's all about what you look like, and it does move past just using a filter. And it does move past just photo editing and actually becomes actually editing your actual appearance. So I think it's concerning that so many young people are experiencing this and going through potentially body dysmorphia, which is leading them to want to take this step and actually have these cosmetic procedures. And I think as well with social media, I know that there's some places that offer packages to young impressionable people online for free, just to post a photo in return. And the Kylie Jenner package or Kim Kardashian package is offered to young impressionable people, and if they don't have the financial means to afford it, this can be really tempting for them. And, if all they've got to do is post a photo after they've had this potentially risky procedure, it can be very tempting to young, impressionable people.
As well as the physical risks, which are quite apparent. If you're going to somebody without proper medical training who doesn't know what they're doing, anything that is an invasive procedure, injecting a foreign material into your body, or worse still, undergoing quite major surgery, frankly. I don't think there are many doctors out there, surgeons, who would cut open a body without a really strong medical justification. But what is going to be the long-term psychological repercussions of this when people go and get procedures because they have this vision in their mind that they want to look a certain way, but the face looking back at them, A, doesn't look like them, the face they were born with, and B, it hasn't met their criteria. What is the lasting mental damage of that?
Yeah, and I think it all comes down to the underestimation of the risk, and that is when the psychological harm can really come into play, because procedures can go wrong. There is risks involved, and that can lead to heightened depression or anxiety, even further body dysmorphia. It can go, the list goes on. And I think that people also realizing that they have gone a step too far and actually having to go through the process of having the procedures reversed because they're feeling that guilt or they're feeling that regret as well because of what they've done at perhaps such a young age. They're then, like you said, looking in the mirror and that isn't the face that they were born with.
It is very concerning, and equally concerning is the fact that some of these procedures, one that's become extremely popular is what's called the Brazilian butt lift, because everyone wants to model themselves on a Kardashian, and it carries a risk of 1 in 3,000 fatalities. That is enormous. The fact that people are prepared to take that sort of risk and have such invasive surgery, does this not suggest that we really do have a problem in the 21st century with cosmetic surgery and how prevalent it has become?
I think it's because it's so normalized these days on social media. People openly talk about procedures they've had done, and there's absolutely no shame around it, which is great that people feel so confident to talk about it and be so open and honest. I think that is a really good thing, is if people have had procedures done, is to be really open and honest rather than create this false identity that they've achieved this standard of beauty naturally, I guess. But it is important, and I think it's really important to perhaps have psychological evaluations before having these surgeries. I know it's not, lots of places do have these psychological assessment assessments before you have the surgery, but lots of places don't. And I think that is really important because it can iron out whether people actually need the surgery and what their expectations of having the surgery are and what their expectations of themselves will be after the surgery.
If there's someone sitting at home who perhaps has been contemplating having a nip or a tuck or perhaps something even bigger, what would you recommend that they do first before they make that decision, before they actually go down the path of, frankly, mutilating their body, even if it is to create a sort of a more beautiful appearance? What would you say to anyone watching right now who is considering perhaps getting something done?
I think questioning whether it's an actual flaw or deformity, or is it a perceived flaw? Because if it's more of a perceived flaw, then you might want to, think about, am I being a bit of a perfectionist in terms of my appearance and my body? Or is this also something along the lines of body dysmorphic disorder? And really, questioning that. Also really looking into the potential risks, because I think the underestimation online, on social media, on reality TV, the risks aren't necessarily, broadcast to these potentially young people. So I think really researching into the risks as well, and, questioning with yourself, if it's not broke, perhaps don't fix it, because that might cause more harm than good.
Jade, thank you ever so much for joining me, and thank you for those sage words of advice. That's Jade Thomas, a psychologist in doctoral training at the Private Therapy Clinic.